control dressed up in concern. Doing this.
No, I think the outcome with kids who are severely neglected, well, first of all, being neglected is a spectrum, right? It's not either or. Being neglected by being extremely sheltered, or being neglected because your parents didn't give you the resources that you needed, like shelter, food, water, healthcare, education. That's like what most people probably think of when they think of childhood neglect. I'm going to try to explain this like with different areas of life and how it would differentiate from being neglected in the way that there's absence, and then neglected in the form that there's too much protection that's unhealthy for development. So the first example I thought is with food and water. If you're neglected in the way that there's absence, that probably means either like your parent isn't providing that. Maybe if you're being overly protected, then maybe they're controlling how much you eat. Maybe there's a lock on the fridge or on the pantry. Maybe you're never allowed to have dessert before healthy food. Maybe when you sit down at dinner, you're not able to eat until one of your parents says it's okay to do so. It's taking the decisions that your child should be making over time. Like obviously, like developmentally, you're gonna have to like choose what's healthy for your child when they're a toddler. Like they're probably just gonna want to eat stuff that tastes good all the time and not their vegetables. But that's not what I'm talking about, okay? Making community as a child, making friends. Maybe if there's an absence of parents, you end up making friends that are a bad influence on you because maybe they also have absent parents, and so you bond over that. Or there's older children or teens who kind of like take you under their wing, but they're like involved in a lifestyle that ultimately you get involved with that harms you. But if you're being overly protected, then maybe you're not allowed to have any friends at all. Maybe they make you like you're only allowed to study in your room all day, or they have to be in a specific mood for you to even go and be able to hang out with their friends. So like your social connections with people is based off the mood that your parents are in. I would infer that a lot of the children who have helicopter parents or overbearing parents, they might have grown up in a place where it was the opposite, where their parents were very absent. And I think a lot of people, when they parent, they think that doing the exact opposite of what they were parented with is the best solution. But usually swinging to the other side of the pendulum actually doesn't end up working out. And from studying psychology, I have kind of concluded that the two times that are the most important for brain development is between the ages of 0 and 7 and adolescence. So like 13 to 18. So between the ages of 0 and 7, your brain is growing rapidly. It's creating all these new neural pathways, and there's something called neuroplasticity. And it kind of goes into the saying, practice doesn't make perfect, it makes permanent, because when you do the same thing over and over, you're creating these little pathways in your brain, and they're getting deeper every time that you do something. And this includes things that are being told to you. So if you're told over and over that you need your parent to make every decision for you, you can't make your decisions on your own, you constantly need protection and supervision so you don't hurt yourself or someone else. those beliefs will stay ingrained within you, even if it's just emotionally. And I would say most kids with an overbearing parent, depending on how much control that they force on you, the natural reaction is going to be to rebel because you are not meeting like the healthy developmental steps to become an independent adult. Because the point of parenting is to give your child the resources and the mental, emotional, physical tools to be able to be an independent adult without your help. So whether a child complies or rebels, both are actually ways that they're trying to meet those milestones that your parents are preventing you from meeting, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally. Because if you're complying, I think like a child's brain is going to think, if I comply enough, then finally I'll get freedom. If I comply enough, then I'll finally get full acceptance. Then I'll finally be good enough. Then my parent will give me more freedom. But that's not usually what happens. Most kids with very overbearing parents, they don't get relief until they move out. And those are the types of kids too who usually are the ones that are moving out right at 18. But I think the most damaging part of this type of parenting is that you grow up thinking that your parents are scary and the world is scary, or that you can't trust the world and you can't trust your parents either. And then that ends up making you think you can't trust yourself either, because if your parents are trying to make all your decisions for you and you've never been able to do it on your own, then when you're finally 18, you're like, okay, where the fuck do I start? Because like you really do have to reparent yourself, or else you will fall into unhealthy coping strategies to try to fill that void that your parents left in you, where there wasn't that openness for that emotional connection every time. Because when a child makes a mistake or they choose a bad decision, that's actually can be a bid for connection. And through conflict resolution, you can create a stronger bond. But when you have over-controlling parents, you know the minute you tell them that, they're probably going to punish you. And so usually you don't, if like with this type of parenting, the parents have actually like no idea what their kid is really like or what their life has really been like. And then this becomes especially dangerous if the kid is victimized in any way and they don't want to tell the parent because they don't want to get in trouble, even though it wasn't their fault. But once you grow up, you realize it was just all projection. All projection from the parent, that they are scared of the world. And, most parents are anxious about something happening to your kid. I think that's just something that every parent like constantly has in the back of their mind. But if your parent doesn't know how to regulate and how to work through those fears that they picked up on growing up, then the cycle is just going to continue. And then it'll either continue on or the child will do the work to kind of break that generational core belief in the family.